Hello and welcome to Gabbitt Media. I'm Grant Abbitt, in case you didn't realise that. And welcome to, we're doing character modelling at the moment and struggling through this character, the anime style characters, and that's what I'm struggling with a little bit anyway. Having a bit of fun though, so you're, who's with me to join me on my journey of struggles with anime characters? I've taken the model a little bit further, so I've done a sort of t-shirt just to remind myself of Rete Apology before I started the stream and get it all wrong. Hello, Shazzabe Khan again. You're my moderator today. Well done, you returned to be moderator madness. Hello, Game Bacardi, Daraboo, Luca Negra. There's a few new names here. Smash that like button. Oh. Vartan Ponasane, I remember that name, even though I can't pronounce any of these names. Sorry about this. Bill Bag. Hello, Polybloom. Dasha Kanava. Vevrenik Foltan, I remember that name. Pasafari. Hello, everybody. Corey S, well done. You've made most of them, haven't you? JG Junk. Luca Negra again, sorry. Favourite game, question mark. If you've got a question for me, then make sure you do at Grant Abbitt, then I can easily see, because it gets a bit busy on there sometimes. Hello, Christone1989, nice to see you on here. You woke up early enough. What time is it where you are? Let's get this rigged and painted, full stop. Alrighty, man. Yeah, last time I did this, I was really slow, so I'll try and speed up the workflow. I mean, it's worth asking as well if people would prefer this as a set of tutorial videos, or are they happy with the live streaming side of things as well. So let me know how you or what you think about that one. Does it ever really click how much you actually help people? It's incredible how much stuff I've learnt by watching your stuff. Thank you, Daraboo. I appreciate that. That's good to hear, actually. I had one of those days where I've just been really tired, so it's nice to hear those sort of positive comments. It's nice to come on and chat to people on a Friday evening. Instead of going out, let's do some modelling instead. What do you think of my low poly well that I made, Grant? Poly Bloom, I'm trying to remember. I see so many, unfortunately. But I recognise the name, so I can't quite remember. But I'm sure it was fantastic. It's midnight for you, Art Kid. God dear. Anyway, the whole point of streaming is the promise of interaction. Yes, that's the tricky thing, isn't it? When oh wow, thank you ever so much, Max Raquette, trying to summon Charles McDonald and M Designs. That's really good of you. I really appreciate that. That's an awful lot as well. You've beaten them both. By $1 and $2 from the last stream anyway. Charles McDonald has given a lot, I must say, but I really appreciate that, Max. Thank you very much. So showing the process, hopefully that's good, and the interaction that you're enjoying. I'm trying to find a balance whether I get the interaction right and the chatting right. See, we're 5 minutes in and I haven't even touched the model yet, so I'm obviously not getting the balance right. Right, let's get into this, shall we? Thanks again, Max. So this episode is sponsored by Max Raquette. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but thank you very much for that. Mael Nurik, is that how you pronounce it? They've challenged me to try and say their name. Okay, so a few things I need to do. I'll talk you through what I've been up to actually first. So obviously there's the face. I'm still not quite happy with it, but there's a risk of just going overboard and really, just spending ages when it's kind of pointless. The ear looks out now. It's funny when you look back at these things, you think, what's going on with that? So I'll come back to looking at the sculpt of the head, where its shape just looks a bit off suddenly. Yeah. Anyway, so what I've been doing with the shirt. If I go into edit mode, you can see that's what it looks like in edit mode. It's just this sort of, it's the actual grey t-shirt for the moment, even though it doesn't go down to the bottom, but you can see that red sort of underlying t-shirt there, you see. So the character I'm doing is called Oh no, I've forgotten already. Oh, that is so... Fisher. Because I... my mum... Mile, is it Mile? Oh, I see. Interesting. Sorry. Anyway, so there's this... actually, where is that going to? Oh, so there's a red sort of belt, actually. That's a belt. So I didn't realise that was a belt until now, and when I started looking down here. But still, so that needs to go over the top. So I'll need that to go in a bit more. If that's easy enough, I can select those and just scale them in just a touch. And we'll start getting there with the belt on top of that. Now, what I've done with this, and that's why I was a bit worried about this live stream, whether it's going to work, because I heard that there was issues with the multi-resolution modifier. And if I go back out of edit mode at the moment, it's much like the Subdivision surface modifier, but you can sculpt on the multi-resolution modifier, and that's the big difference. So you're using a combination of sculpted mesh, and the shirt looks like a cube that's been edited. It's kind of a cube that's been edited. I used, now where is it actually? I think it's this one here, yeah. So I used this mesh to start with, and so I sculpted the body t-shirt shape. Which one is that actually? Let's just hide that. Oh no, it's the wrong one selected. Let's Alt-H that, and get this one, hide that. There we go. And then just did what's a similar technique to Rete Apology over the top. That's kind of how I came up with this. I mean, you could use a cube and subdivide it. It's got no insides yet, and I've yet to do the sleeve down here. As you can see, there's a grey. The grey shirt underneath will go all the way through, and this one will be on top, obviously. 12:08 a.m. in India. Wow, that is very early in the morning. What a killer. Okay, so Rete Apology. So the way I did this one, let's have a look at what can I do to Rete Apologize. What's the best way of showing you this? Yeah, okay, Rete Apologizing an arm. So if I shift right click here to set my pivot point. I should be naming my objects. It's because I'm sort of thinking about so many things at once, Corias, that I'm getting distracted and then just not naming anything. I mean, look at this. At least I have named some of my collections. So that's a start, isn't it? Japanese rhythm games, and would it be hard to make a rhythm game on Blender or Unreal Engine? Is that sort of like music games where you like have to touch? I don't know what they are actually, but I would have thought Blender's a good option, but I don't know which engine is going to be the best one for that. I would have thought Unity more than Unreal. Unreal seems to be very sort of first-person shooter, but I could be wrong there, because I don't know much about it. Okay, there's my cylinder, way too big. Let's just bring it down. Oh, actually, I'm going to undo that. And Shift A and add it again, because as soon as you move these things or scale them, you can't change their verts. And I want this to be... Actually, what would make more sense? I'll undo that again. I'll get with the program in a second. Now, oh, that's interesting. Right, if I select this edge loop round here and count the amount of edges, it's 18. It makes sense if I want my cylinder to link up with this arm here, that it's 18 around. Makes sense, doesn't it? Hello, Gang Lord Yeetus Thevetus. Yes, I do remember you. I remember the name. Unreal can make any kind of genre, fair enough. And I thought it was sort of quite a first-person, third-person-y thing, dominated by, you know, if that makes sense. But yeah, like I say, I didn't know much about it. So 18 sides, that would make more sense. And then let's scale this down to about there. And let's go to front view, rotate it. And we want it bigger than the arm. And I'll explain why in a moment. Also, we want to grab this edge here, pull it upwards. Actually, I'm going to do a couple, so I'll extrude this face. I just check I've got the face there, rotate it, and follow the arm a touch around there, and extrude again to there, and rotate around there. Is this good topology? Who knows? Around there. You'd expect me to know, wouldn't you? Should be okay, because I can add some loops in here and make it go down. You need a fair few loops around the joints. That's important for rigging. Have enough loops around your joints so that they can deform easily. So you can see I sort of added a loop cut around here, which you can see. And it's important that you don't have poles too close to your joints as well, because poles can cause pinching when they distort and things. And poles are, what are poles, everybody? Have a think. They're points or vertices, vertices, what am I saying? That have either, 5 or more or 3 edges going into them. So this is a pole and this isn't, if that makes sense. I'll get there in the end. What are people up to? What are people saying? What about the insides? What about the insides? Oh, do you mean the insides here of the shirt? I'll come to that later, but I'll probably just use a solidify modifier at the end, probably. I haven't completely decided. I may just block it out by selecting this edge loop and scaling it in, but that's something I'll need to sort of think about a bit more as I go along, because I'm doing this in a slightly different style how I've done other ones, because I don't often do sort of clothing separate from objects and things, so I'm just sort of thinking different workflows, trying things out and stuff. Okay, probably want one more edge loop here, don't we? So front view, extrude. In fact, do we want one more edge loop? I'm going to undo that and just rotate this one around so it's level with the other one. Oh, I just pressed E to extrude, didn't I? Silly bitty. Scale there. Just go to side view, make sure it's not too wide. It doesn't matter too much, but I'll scale in the Y. And grab in the Y as well. So this one, grab in the Y. So I'm just following the arm at the moment. And it's really important that nothing is poking through. So I'll just scale this up. And it doesn't really matter the size of it, to be honest. It can be really big. I say really big, but you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'll grab this in the Y, and I'm going to follow the arm down. Now, I don't have to worry about the loop cuts because I can add those in later once I sort of squish it. Shrink wrap it is what I'm doing to this arm here. That's the thinking. So let's extrude this down. So let's get front view, extrude, pull it down to about there, and just grab it into position. Okay, so there's my arm topology. It's not great, but it doesn't matter because we can add loop cuts later. Just having a look. Yes, I'm going to bridge those two together eventually. Thank you very much, Raymond Bonanno. I recognise the name. Have you donated before? First payment installation. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Yes, it means a lot. I appreciate that. And thanks for everybody that's supporting me, watching an advert and all those sort of things. It's much appreciated. Okay, so where was I? Yep, so we got our... Oh, do you know, I added that in edit mode, didn't I? What a plonker. So let's... how do we unlink things? How do we separate things? Have a think about that. How do we separate things? Right, I've added this in edit mode, so they're all one object, as you can see here. What a silly. And it's got a multi-resolution modifier on it. God, it's all gone. It's all gone to pot. Well, how do we do that? Well, we can press L on our object, and that's anything that's sort of separate like this will be selected when you press L. You've also got sort of, it's called select link down here, which is behind my head actually, isn't it? What I'll do for a moment, so just so you can see it, I will hide me. I've gone. Where is he? So you can see there, and you've got different options, and this is doing it by seams, but there'll obviously be seams down here, but you can do it by other things as well, materials and all sorts as well, UVs and such. Okay, I'm going to come back now because I'm in the middle of nowhere, and now I'm back. Oh, well, there we go. How about that? My internet is lagging, is it? Now, hang on. My internet should be good. It says excellent connection. Now, what I've done, and I can't change that whilst... Oh, no. Let me see. I just want to check the output. No, it should all be fine. So it must be my internet. Is it lagging? Let me know if everything's okay. It says my connection's excellent, and I don't think there'll be any issues, but it was lagging. It's okay now. That's interesting. Yeah, maybe it just had a little glitch. I mean, it is a tricky one because it's Friday evening, and I imagine that's when lots of people in my area go online, and that's actually the issue because there's too many people in the area, and my crappy network can't handle it. but we're all good. That's good to hear. Okay, so I want to separate this. So what do I press to separate? Separate. Oh, it's P to separate. And then you can use by selection. In fact, I didn't even need to select it because I can do by loose parts here as well, but selection. There we go. And now it's a separate object. It's obviously out of edit mode, so it's got this weird thing around it because it's a multi-resolution modifier. Let's go back to object mode, select that one, and delete the multi-resolution modifier because we don't need that. Okay, now it's a separate object. Shall I name it? That would be good, wouldn't it? Oh, why is it in there? That's interesting. If you can't find your object, I don't know why it's in testing, and you've got it off the outliner somewhere. Let's say I've got lots of things open. I haven't got enough things to hide it anyway. It's right in the middle. You can press full stop and it will go right in the middle. That's a useful tip for you. Oh, learning lots today, aren't you? Just checking everything's good. I mean, it does say it's okay, so hopefully we're good. Right, where were we? Ah, yes, plane. So this needs to be... Actually, I'm going to join it in a second anyway, but I'll call it t-shirt arm. Shirt arm. And now what I'm going to do to this is under the modifiers, there's a shrink wrap modifier. I always forget where it is. It's there. Shrink wrap. And then where the target is, you use your pipette, or you can, if I'd named it correctly, I could just choose the name here, but I'm going to use the pipette because I haven't named anything correctly, and choose the arm there. And then it shrink wraps to the arm. Okay, so those are topology techniques. So drawing a cylinder like this, it's much easier to do it like that than it is to sort of do it the long way, which is with a cube and then extruding it and then extruding it down and blah, blah, blah. And it's difficult to use the shrink wrap with circles and such like. So that's the best way, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got our arm there. I can actually, excuse me, go into edit mode and can you see how the original topology hasn't changed? So I can add some loop cuts here and maybe a couple here on the sort of army bit. I'm just thinking about the topology. How much do I want? I might need another one down there. And we're good. And then when I come out of edit mode, those will shrink wrap as well. Okay, it's a good idea to have the offset just up a little bit. Oh, that is a bit more than I expected. I'm probably going to do another one in here, I think, another loop cut. And can you see that popping out there, which looks weird. Now, why is that popping out? Because it's inside the mesh and it's not being affected by the shrink wrap. That's why. So if I go to edit mode now, actually, it actually is working, which is strange. Oh, because, in fact, I don't know why that's working. That's quite clever. It shouldn't have worked. But if it's inside the mesh, which this is, it shouldn't work particularly well. Oh no, it's showing me the end result, which is working. It isn't actually inside the so if I do this, there we go, it isn't actually inside the mesh. If I do grab this inside the mesh, like this, and then go to edit mode, you can see it's not shrink wrapping because it's inside the mesh. That's what I was trying to say, hopefully. I did a full character topology within 2.5 hours. So that's I would say that's pretty speedy personally. Obviously I'm going a little bit slowly as you can tell, so I'm trying to explain my workings and things. Hopefully that's okay for everybody, because that's why we're all here, I'm assuming. Or is it just to listen to my beautiful voice? Is that the idea? Okay, so there's object mode. I can then apply the shrink wrap. Remember, I've sort of got it slightly on top. I think that will help us. So there's sort of our t-shirt sleeve. It is a bit thick actually, so I'm going to undo that and change the offset to 0.005 there. So it's a little bit thinner. I could even go lower than that actually, couldn't I? I'm tempted. So it's just on top there, only just though. That's probably better. Funny questions. Okay, so I can apply that shrink wrap, and then we've got our topology model, and I can hide these, and then I can easily link these two up. The one I select last is the one that has the modifier on, so I want it to join to that, and therefore this will adopt this modifier. Okay, so because this is the active object, so when you're joining with Control J, that will become, this will share the properties of this one, so including the center point and things like that as well. So we can select those two, Control J, and you can see it went weird, and that's because of the multi-resolution modifier. I can delete these ends. delete these ends, these faces, and then I can edge mode with 2 and select these 2 and Control E bridge edge loops. And there we have topology madness. Looks a little bit glitchy around here, doesn't it? I'm trying to think why that would be. It looks comfy there. Oh, it's probably the multi-resolution modifier, of course, because I started sculpting this, so the multi-resolution modifier is thinking, well, what's going on here then? Because if you look at my sculpt mode, there we go. I can smooth that out easily. I mean, it's fine because it looks like it's got a bit of a seam and stuff. That's fine. So there's the multi-resolution modifier, and then I can sculpt this and start sculpting details in. I mean, it is just a t-shirt, so it hasn't got many features as such, but you'll see some sort of folds and stuff like that around the place, which I suppose I could start doing a few of those now. I have actually got lots more reference images, which I'll show you. Yeah, okay, multi-resolution modifier, that's a good idea. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm just going to show my reference images. So I've got lots now. So I've got things like hands, which we'll do in a moment. A few faces, because I just wanted to look at the neck muscles. So a few neck muscles in here and stuff, and at the back there as well. More hands, and then arms, how the hand and wrist I needed there. And a few more anime characters. Someone suggested this in the last stream. I can't remember what it's called, Lupin or something like that, I think it is. I'll answer those questions in a second. Sorry, I got distracted then. And yeah, some boots as well, some leather straps for all the strapping around the place and stuff, and buckles, baggy sort of trousers like this. He's supposed to be a fisherman, so these are sort of that sort of material, if that makes sense. I mean, those aren't, but these are. Just to give us an idea. And those boots, I try to get them from a few angles. We'll probably work on the boots in a bit as well. Lupin the Third, that's right, old school anime. There was some sort of trailer for a new version of it or something. It looked pretty cool actually, because I mean that's quite a cool character, isn't it? Looking at him, he looks pretty funky there. And that was sort of sent as some inspiration for me. Excuse me. Right, the shirt opening and the sleeves need to have the same number of edges when you bridge faces. Yes, indeed they do, Tim Glass, yes. So let's get this back out of the way. So that's why I counted up the edges around this sleeve, and then I joined, when I added my cylinder down here, I made sure it had that number of verts anyway, or edges. And then I was able to join them with a bridge edge loop without any issues. Any other questions down here? I do like some animes, and then other animes I suppose they're just not for me, are they? Not my style. I'm just looking at the head, it's annoying me. It was a real struggle getting the eyes right, and they still don't seem quite right, but we'll get there, can you export meshes while a Boolean modifier is on a mesh? No, I don't think you can. Gang Lord Eutus the Fetus, it's nice to see you. See you another time. If we have a low poly mesh with a multi-resolution modifier, then we want, sorry, it's scrolling up at this. Then what can we call it? A high poly model or a low poly? Well, it's a low poly if you export that, because you wouldn't export it. You either apply a modifier or you leave it. Not making sense there. Multi-resolution modifier is really for sculpting on, and then you bake that information in light information onto your low poly model. So that's why a multi-resolution modifier is good, because you've got the topology there. But so it's pretty much the same as a subdivision surface modifier, but you have these options here of subdividing it, and you can sculpt on it. Okay, I'll try and explain that in a moment. Shall we? I'll work on the trousers, and then I'll show you Rete Apology on the trousers, and then I will show you also the multi-resolution modifier with that as well. So I'll go through the whole process. So similar process to the sleeves. I'll start here though, and I'll do the whole sort of Rete Apology process, and you can let me know whether it makes sense to you or not. Okay, so we'll go back to layout mode here. So not too much sculpting today, but sort of preparation, sorting. Because with the other good thing about a multi-resolution modifier is that the topology is already there. So you're using the base mesh for your sculpt, so you don't need to retopologize. Hopefully I'm making sense here. I feel like yeah. Anyway, let me know if I'm not making sense, and do let me know of your questions. Yeah, at Grant, if you've got a question. I'm just checking everything's good. We all look comfy at the moment. It's all going well. Yep, and we got 170 viewers. Hello to you all that are watching. I appreciate your support. How do I send this message to my clients? It will probably be an FBX at the end. It depends how they want it. They might want an actual blend file. I haven't asked that question actually, but it doesn't make too much difference in the end. Hello, Kagray Tart. Kagray Tart. Hello, Mark Knight. Anyway, let's work on this then. So the trousers, we'll retopologize and we'll do the process of setting it up with a multi-resolution modifier ready to sculpt. Why not use the? That's a good question. I assume someone would say this. Landon Smith. Why not use the Remesh modifier in which may work? In fact, for really basic shapes, it can work. Anything complicated, it doesn't offer good topology. It's not that it's not a good thing, the Remesh, but it's not really for retopology as such. So it's a good point, because actually the trousers might work with Remesh. So I'll duplicate them, Shift D. And I'll just right click so there's a duplicate there. Let's use the full stop and the outliner to find them. So these are going to be trousers 2 to retopo. And we'll use the remesh on these. So where's my original trousers? I'm going to have to, let's just, is that, yeah, so there they are. Trousers original. That's why you should name all your things when you create them. Okay, so we've got 2 trousers there. And let's hide the originals and Levi's originals. Hello, Hussam Asila, nice to see you again. Hello, Felix. No problem being late. Gingy as well. There's lots of newcomers, not newcomers, old faces joining us suddenly. That's what I'm trying to say. And Jay Yasmin, nice to see you again as well. And Dada Dia. Anyway, so where were we? Remesh. So we have to be in sculpt mode for remesh. So we're in sculpt mode, and the remesh options. You can't use this with Dyn Topo, and I've got Dyn Topo ticked, so it won't work. I'm just checking I've got Transfer Retopo there. So they were obviously, I used Dyn Topo on them before, so it kept it in Dyn Topo mode. Remesh. Let's just try the. Actually, I might need to save my work first. Always save your work. There we go. 5B. Useful naming profiles. So I'm not sure how this is going to come out. It should be okay at that depth. Chance McDonald. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I don't know how much you've donated altogether now, but it is an astronomical amount. That's really, really good of you. Say thanks to Chance McDonald, everybody, because he's one of the reasons that we're here. We're enjoying the stream, and we've got good sound, a good camera, and doubly good sound because it's plugged in and all that sort of stuff, and better internet, and it's not dropping out, although it was a little bit glitchy earlier. But thank you ever so much. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Incredible. Well done. I don't know what to say of these things, really. It always blows me away. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you once again. I'm just seeing what people are saying. Chance you're a champion. I like that one. That's a good one, Michael F. That's a Chance the champion. Need to change your name now. Do you at least get the majority of the donations? Yes. Yeah. I think YouTube does take a percentage looking at it, but it's difficult to convert the dollars into pounds. But I can see there's a chat revenue thing on here, which is always nice to stare at. You think, oh wow, that's amazing. But yeah, I think YouTube takes a bit of a cut. But it's really fantastic that people are donating. I mean, however you were to donate, someone would take a cut. Even if it was a bank transfer, your bank takes a cut, doesn't they? That's cutting everything. But anyway, why am I talking about that? Thanks ever so much. I really appreciate that. So the remesh, did it remesh then? Yeah, now that's way too detailed. So if I go to edit mode, there's the remesh. I mean, it looks reasonable topology, but we have lots of these anomalies around here, which aren't ideal. It's sort of going straight down, and that's not ideal either. I think there are remesh options, aren't there, which I can't remember where to find them now. Is it under here? Where is the remesh option? I can't remember. Oh, I might have to be in sculpt mode. That's probably it, isn't it? There's the remesh. There we go. Let's just see what some of these do. Fix poles. No idea. You would hope that would do something cool, but I couldn't see much doing there. Anyway, I need to remesh it so it's actually smaller anyway. So we want to go higher number here, basically. So 0.1, and then remesh. Okay, so can you see how it's distorted that a fair bit, joined it together there? So it's not done a great job, but that's about the sort of topology size that I want. So the remesher isn't really helping me in that matter at the moment. I could try just going a tiny bit less than this, so 0.9, and try and remesh. Did I do something with it? Oh yeah, sorry, 0.09, isn't it? Otherwise, it's just a square. Or cube, I should say. 0.09, that's... Oh, I didn't... Did I remesh? There we go. Yeah, we've still got anomalies, and it's still problematic, and it's not really great topology. So that's why we can't really do the remesh modifier in this particular case. It's pretty cool if you just want to quickly... I mean, it's doing a decent job, let's say. I mean, you could roughly keep this sort of shape. It's not awful. It wouldn't bend and deform particularly well, so I'd have to add some topology in here for that sort of stuff. But if you want to be quick, the remesh is really good. The other thing that remesh is great for is join topology. So if I joined this to the boot, for example, just with Control J and press remesh, it would sort all that Boolean issues out and things like that. So it's really, really handy. Just seeing what people are saying. My high-res models somehow look low-res. Any tips for making models not look like low-res meshes? That's interesting. Perhaps you'll have to send me a model so I can have a look, or show me some pictures. The best way is on the Discord server for that. And yeah, then you can get some... it's easier for me to give feedback as to what's going on there. Okay, so we want to do the Rete Apology. So I'm going to explain how to do that. Let's go back to layout mode now. These are remeshed, so they're a bit thinner topology, so that's better. Oh, look, we've lost... Now that's odd for the remesh to do that. Oh no, it hasn't. It's not that bad. You don't really have to stare at his crotch for that long. But I thought there was a bit of a block there that looked out of place, but it didn't. Okay, so shift right click to get in the center. And in fact, what would be better is shift C, so cursor to center. I don't know why it's brought me all the way out here. And then shift A, add a plane. Okay, so there's a plane. And full stop on my numpad to zoom onto that. Scale it down. Move it out to the front, but only in the Y, so it keeps its x-axis. I just want to sort of make sure it's right in the middle. Z remesher is perfect to do that kind of topology. Yeah, it sounds like ZBrush is awesome when it comes to the retopology stuff. There are things in Blender like Rete Flow, which is an add-on, but it's a paid-for add-on. I think it's about $80 or something like that. So fairly expensive things. So I'm going to show you the sort of vanilla Blender way of doing it. So let's rotate by the X 90 degrees, and we want an auto mirror. I'm going to Control A and just delete any scale and rotations, and then N to go to my Edit Auto Mirror in the X-axis. And if we see, that's added a mirror, and I don't have to worry about all that annoying cutting in half and do the clipping and all that sort of stuff. It's done it all for me. Whoop. So let's scale this down and, oh yeah, and grab it into front view and put it to the front, maybe at the top here somewhere where I'm going to start my topology. $80, that's a donation's worth of add-ons indeed. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I kind of wish they've got the poly brush, which I'm not finding immensely useful yet. I think I'm just not used to the controls, and that's to help with Rete Apology, and it does. But I would like to see them do something with Rete Apology where they try and do the Z remesher. I always call it Z, of course, I know, because I'm British. Okay, so at the moment, this isn't anywhere near our target, so let's just sort that out. I might as well do that in object mode, so back. What on earth happened there? Oh, that's because it's in line. I don't like that feature, that it doesn't highlight my mesh. Oh, thank you very much, Shane Pelcher. Much appreciated. All these donations are gladly received. Thank you very much for that. That's brilliant. Yeah, we asked. Yes, exactly that, Max Raquette. This is open source, isn't it? Sorry, Max Raquette, isn't it? Yeah, I think. So it is. It's just amazing for what it is. But hopefully, it'll be even better. I'll do an artwork review video at some point. Yep. Well, the competition entries, that'll be on Monday. I think I'll be going through that. I think it's Monday anyway. Yeah, I think the deadline was Sunday, so I'll be doing it sort of Monday around 4 till 6. We're doing the competition, so that's one you can get involved with. If you want to join the competition, join the Discord server, and then you can join the competition easily. Okay, I'm not getting very far with this because there's lots of chat. It is interesting to chat, so hopefully people don't mind me trying to answer people's questions at the same time as doing this. When do you stream? I'd like to catch the next one. It seems Friday evening, sometimes 4 till 6, sometimes a bit later, depending on where I can fit it in. So that's very often. And if any day, it'll probably be around 4 till 6. That's my sweet spot in terms of time for me. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for most days. I haven't got a regular time slot yet. I'm still experimenting a little bit. Okay, so where was I with this? So we got the mirror modifier on. We need another modifier, which is the shrink wrap modifier. So I use that, and I'll just minimize the mirror there, and I want to use the target as the trousers, and you can see it paste itself onto the trousers. If I go to edit mode, do be aware it's still out here. Okay, so the shrink wrap is a modifier, so it's not really moving the topology unless I press apply. Sorry, I'm burping a bit at the moment. Bit of lunch there. I will do a stream rigging this character, hopefully. I'm not immensely experienced with this stuff, so I've probably only done full characters about 3. Some animals and stuff. When I say full characters with clothing, it's probably only about 2, in fact. So this is a bit more detailed than I usually go. I usually do like a detailed sculpt with a bit of rigging, and then just leave it. But I don't separate the clothes out because the clothes should be kind of rigged separately and stuff if you want to do it all properly. So hopefully I'm doing okay, and you're learning from this. But all these different things that I get asked to show and things, I'm not the expert with it. So I'll do my best always. But that's why it's difficult to do on a live stream, because sometimes I'm thinking, actually, what is the best way to do that? And then I can really sort of do a better job with a tutorial than a live stream. But this way I like to be able to answer questions and things. Am I making sense? Hopefully making sense. Okay, so so the important thing to understand about the shrink wrap, and I do get asked this question, is why do we have to snap our faces if we're using the shrink wrap? So what I'll do over here, I'll turn snapping on. It's to faces and project individual elements. Just project individual elements. And you can see that if I move my hand out of the way, project individual elements onto the surface of other objects. So you need that ticked as well. And then let's go to vertex mode, and then I can click on this. When I press G, it will now push that onto this object. So press G, and can you see it's pushing it onto the object? Okay, so it's pushing it onto the object. Just say that so many times, shall I? Animation as well, maybe. Just asking a lot now, are we? But there's a slight issue here that I can't see my mesh very easily. So we turn the offset up slightly. So offset, I was expecting that to not be as much. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Do I need to... I probably do actually, don't I? Because I've got on surface there. I think I need above surface, don't I? Yeah, that's what I'm doing wrong, sorry. Being an idiot. So you can see this is projecting it above the surface. That's better. That's a bit too far because it wants to be fairly close but not overlapping. So if I go to here and do 0.01, let's see how that is. I thought so. It's going to have to be about 0.03. Somewhere around there looks good. Okay. I know this is overlapping slightly, but that should be fine. What will be helpful as well is to put this cage option on there, because then we can easily grab our vertices and pull them around. Okay. Now I've got snapping on, so it's snapping my mesh to this other mesh, and it's shrink wrapping as well. And that's that weird question about, well, why do you need to do both? Because remember, if it wasn't for the shrink wrap, it would be out here. And if you try, I'll turn snapping off, and then I will grab this edge and extrude it out as if we're sort of going around and shrink wrapping around. That's great. And oh, it's going a bit weird. If I go to edit mode, oh, no, it's not going weird. It's doing quite well, actually. Why is that working? Let's turn the cage off. That shouldn't have worked so well, actually. Yeah, so it's inside the mesh, and it's trying to shrink wrap it because it's actually inside the mesh because the snapping wasn't turned on. So I'm going to undo that. The shrink wrap, they must have modified the modifier slightly because it's doing a better job than it used to. But that's why we have snapping on, because now I can press extrude, and it's snapping as well as shrink wrapping. I think I've undone too many steps there. So I want this to be outside surface, and this to be, let's just put it up one and change it here to, what was it, 0.03, I think it is. There we go. Now it's above the surface and it's looking good. And press that cage button there. There we go. So let's just push these into position and move that up. Okay, so that's Rete Apology. And then we just, well, we can use the poly brush, which is quite weird, and I'm still not used to it, so I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to do it. What am I saying? So now just extrude all the way around. Probably a bit too many polys here, because you start off and you don't really need to do many to start off with. I'll finish this section and then I'll answer a few questions. So I can see a few questions coming up. So just E to extrude and rotating. I've got my hand over the R, E and G keys because I might want to grab like this as well. E to extrude, and that can probably go into the middle there. Okay, so that's simple enough. Come on, Abbitt, this shouldn't work. Yeah, it shouldn't work, but it's working. Okay, we've got a few questions. Instead of using an offset with snapping, you couldn't go to object data and select in front. I don't like that in front mode because then you start seeing the back of your topology, and I find it gets a bit confusing. So I tend to not bother with that. But yeah, lots of people do. When starting camera tracking after 100 frames, I won't go into camera tracking if that's all right. But if you have questions, then maybe Discord server is the place for those, because we're getting distracted from the model. Sorry about that, Mohammed Zia. How much did the client pay for this? It's probably not unfair for me to say. I'll ask him and see if it's okay to discuss those sort of things, because I know lots of people want to know about how much they get paid for this sort of stuff, and so on. So I'll ask them how they feel about that before going into that. It's a difficult one to talk about pay. I'm quite okay to talk about it. I don't really care, but my clients might. So I think we have to respect that. Yeah, sorry. So we'll answer that. I'll answer that one on Discord server, Mohammed Zia. Thank you, Oracle Media. You've still got your moderator power, so enjoy. Sometimes it's pretty hard to, much hard to see the topology. So any tip for that? It can be hiding bits of the geometry. So you can, let's go to wireframe mode and select these. Oh, it's mirrored. Sorry, what am I thinking? Select these, press H, and then you've just got a little bit to work on. Okay, so and Alt H to bring them back. That's the easiest way I find. But yes, it can get really tricky, and you're sort of tiny little bits, and it's really awkward. Payment info is fine. Oh, hello, Raymond. Raymond Bonanno is the client. So there we go. How are you finding it? Is it all making sense to you? I suppose I haven't really done any more details, have I? So perhaps you can tell us the name of the. Is it 2D game? Do you know? I can't even remember. Tell us a bit more. Put a little. That's a good idea to get used to. What do they call it? An elevator pitch of whatever you're producing, because you might only have, 7 seconds or something like that to capture someone's attention. So as if you're in an elevator or lift, we call them in the UK. So get your pitch really ready. So Raymond, we're ready for your pitch of exactly what you're doing. Yeah, let us know how you like it so far. This is quite fun, isn't it, when you've got the client on board and they're watching the stream and feeding back. Okay, so the next stage here is to think about how I can then extend these out. So let's go back to solid mode so we can see what's going on. Now you'd think the easiest way would be to grab this, extrude down and pull it down. And that doesn't work. It didn't actually work that time. It shouldn't work because I've got snapping on still. So my snapping is holding me back at this stage. So undo that, turn snapping off, and I should be able to extrude this down. I might have to scale it out slightly just so it doesn't intersect the mesh, and extrude it down again, and extrude it down again until we get to this area here. There's lots of different ways of doing this, aren't there? And I never remember the best way. So should I start it around here? Or should I go one more down? Maybe one more down. Extrude down one more. And ideally you want sort of loops coming up here. So maybe I shouldn't have gone that far down actually. Actually, don't go down. No, don't do that. Okay, so with these selected, let's just I'm doing sort of edge slide at the moment and grabbing them upwards. So for trousers, you sort of have this loop going up around here because your topology, it needs to crease. So if you think about how your legs crease and there's sort of a V going down your groin, basically, your groin area, you want sort of a topology flow a bit like that, basically. I mean, we don't have to go really precise with these things because we can sort them out a bit later on. So this initial stage of topology, but I might have to go a bit higher up to about there. So we probably want to readjust this topology slightly. Just having a think about that. So this is where you'll need to think about your poles and so forth. I probably should have got some topology of trousers before I started. And I need another one in here, basically. That's what I'm thinking about. So it sort of comes down into here. So I'm just thinking like there. So topology flow, which is what I was talking about today. I'm not a majorly brilliant topology person, but I'm trying to help everybody out, sort of beginners out there who are struggling with it, because it is pretty hard to understand, isn't it? And can you see all these extrusions problems I'm having? Because I turned snapping off, didn't I? Okay, whenever you're worried, let's just hide us. Now, because I turned snapping off and forgot about it, I'm starting to move these out around the place without snapping on. So if you ever get that situation and you think, oh, that's a pain, I'm going to have to click on these and try and snap them back into place. Well, what you do, I'm just having a quick look at what's cool. I'm going to look at that in a second, and don't get distracted, Grant. So what you do is bring the shrink wrap back, because the shrink wrap is working, and we can apply our shrink wrap. Just make sure it's on top slightly, so I'm going to stick it out a tiny bit more, maybe not quite that much, maybe just 0.9. So it's definitely above the surface, nice and not nice and way above the surface like that. So there we go. That's fine, and we can apply this, not in edit mode though. Apply that, and then add a new one. Where's it gone? I always go to the subdivision surface modifier instead of shrink wrap. There it is, and get our target there, and then we just change this to above surface and give it a little bump up there. So we're back to where we were, but now, oh, what did you do there? What did you do there? 0.03 it was, wasn't it? There we go. But now, when I go to edit mode and I hide my shrink wrap, we can see it's all okay. So you can sort of shrink wrap things back into place if you need to. Okay, so what's Raymond saying? Okay, so yeah, loving the model so far. Good to hear. It's the main character for a Metroidvania. Is that how you Metroidvania game I'm working on, currently called Project Crescentville. That was it, yeah. Spiritual successor to Castlevania. So there we go. So I think that's a good mini pitch there that Raymond's done. So always be sort of ready for those sort of things when you've got an idea. Be able to quickly and precisely get to the point about what it's about and stuff. 2D hand-painted look is what we're going for in the end, yep. And rotoscoping the 3D models for in-game cutscenes. That's the interesting thing about this. So I don't have to worry too much about topology, and I can probably get away with some bad topology in places because it can be high poly, if that makes sense, so which is lucky for me. Project Crescentville, there we go. I'm just having a look at what people are saying. It's quite fun, this, isn't it? Will this yes, the live stream will be available later. I always make my live streams available, and I have a playlist, Gabbitt Live, I call it. Okay, so let's think about how we want this to come down here. So basically, I'll do it as sort of a cut form. Hopefully this will make sense. So I'll just cut from here for now. And it needs to come down here like this. I'm just thinking, is that the best way? Am I doing it right? And press enter. I think that's it, isn't it? And then, so just, you can sort of readjust your topology in this way. Hopefully I'm making sense. This is probably a bad form. They're probably doing it really naffly, and there's someone laughing at me out there. Oh, is that how you do it, is it? Oh, what? And I can probably just press Control R here to go back across here, but it needs to then sort of come down this way. Where did I do it? GG, about there sort of thing. But obviously this needs another poly here. So select this edge loop, and are they the same? Are they the same? I'm just checking. I'm doing the same thing both sides. I am, aren't I? Am I doing the same thing both sides? No, I'm not, am I? You see, that's where I start getting confused, because that's fine from the front, but I've done it wrong on the back, haven't I? Because I haven't got another cut down here. That's where I've gone a bit weird, isn't it? So it should go up and around here. Probably should go up around higher, actually. I'm just going to do a cut in here. This is how I sort of sort my head out with these things sometimes. Just do a cut where you want the topology flow to go. Now we've got a triangle there, so we can cut down here, and there's our quad, you see. That's how I sort of sort my head around these things sometimes. Oh, didn't realise that was there. Is that right? What am I doing? That does not feel right, what I'm doing here, because the topology flow doesn't look... Oh dear. That's no good. It's fine here, isn't it? My head is not with it today, is it? Or is this fine? Is this fine? Is this how I normally do it at this stage? Oh, having fun, aren't I? You can see the difficulties there can be when you're doing topology flow. I'm going to do another one down here. I think that makes sense. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay, that is. So we've got a pole there. That's exactly what I want. Why can I not do the same thing here? It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, that is correct, isn't it? I'm going to undo this loop cut because I'm not sure I need it. Edges. Dissolve edges. There we go. And so I do want that to go to here like this. So I'm just doing edge slide. GG, edge slide. It's tricky to describe, isn't it, Jan Willem? You're probably right, but I'm struggling to understand. So I've created a triangle there, haven't I? Which I don't want to do. I want to do it up here, that way, don't I? I think I'm doing this correctly. So it comes down like that. But I feel like I'm doing it wrong. There's something in my head not happy about this. Right, G. Oh, G. Just G should work. GG. Oh, and have I got that on actually? I'll just check that I've got auto merge. Oh, I'm just gonna Alt M to merge my vertices by distance. Oh, I'm sure I edge slide some of them together. Yeah, that's interesting. Strange. Okay, I'm just gonna go to Vertex Snapping. Oh, that wasn't Vertex Snapping. That was increment, and I didn't even turn it on. There we go. G. There. Okay. So it should come down here. Why am I finding this so hard, people? What is going on? See, that hasn't snapped. There we go. Now it has snapped. Anyway, this is the one coming around here, and then it should go down there to here. That's funny, isn't it? My brain is just completely lost at the moment. Here we go. And it's making it worse than I'm live streaming because I'm starting to panic now. Wait, start snapping. Right, let's get that vertex snap on again. Look at this monstrosity here, right there. That one's all right. Okay, back to face snap. There's so many things, isn't there? There's face snapping on, there's vertex snapping, and there's just nothing snapping. What is this funny thing here? Why are you... Ah, now that's interesting, isn't it? Oh, that is really irritating. Right, let's delete that face. Oh, I'm going to get there eventually. Right, this comes down to here. That's fine. So I'm going to fill this one in. Get rid of this one. Delete, dissolve edges. And finally, why did it take me that long to figure that out in my head? Because now we're there, aren't we? We are there, aren't we? We are to the same spot. I've just got... No, we aren't. No. Oh, why is this so difficult? Oh, dear. Right. Okay. I think I can come down this way. Oh, my goodness. How embarrassing. Dissolve edges. There we go. Oh, let's get the face snapping is on. It should be fine. That's interesting. Face snapping's on, but it's not pushing above the surface like it was before. That's all fine. Have I done something weird with the topology? I'm just going to select all, Alt-M, by distance. Ah, there we go. I think it's just probably some stuff pulled together. Is there even a face in there? Right, let's isolate this model. There's no face. That's what's going on. See, I struggle with topology as well. It's good to know, isn't it? There we go. Why was that so difficult for me to get? I think it's because I've got people looking at me. Yeah, can you see? It's grant distracted sacrilege indeed. Oh, I'm just all over the place. Calm down. Oh yeah, it's all happening. Grant Abbitt, no face. Oh, yeah, no face. That was the issue there. I'm there now. I don't know that for some reason that Retopology Flow there just completely threw me. It's good fun though, isn't it? It's good fun being under pressure like that. Okay, so let's extrude this one out. Why is that? There must be some doubles again, or am I not on edge mode, or what's going on here? Grab that. Yeah, there's an extra face in there, isn't there? Right, let's isolate this again. So / on the numpad is to isolate. It without having that auto merge on, that screwed me up a bit as well, hasn't it? Because I've got all this going on here. What's going on here, eh? Get rid of that face. I'm almost there, guys. There it is. He's back. He's got the flow. It's probably really rubbish topology flow as well. And people are laughing, going, oh my goodness, what is this guy doing? Right, let's extrude this out now. Why is this one not going above the surface the same way the rest of it is? I feel like there's something odd going on. What is going on here? I'll tell you what, I'm going to apply the shrink wrap. Is this... What is going on here, actually? Oh, that's why. It's because I had hidden it. I was wondering what was going on there. 03. Why did I hide it? When it was whilst I was panicking, wasn't it? That would have made sense, wouldn't it, Manic Millennial? Split the view, and then I could have looked at the front whilst looking at the back. Oh, that's genius. Alt S to move that point along normal. Yeah, that you can grab it anyway. Alt S to move that. I'm trying to think what that means actually. I'm sure everyone is laughing. If only knew most of us here are awe at this skill. Thank you, Jan Willem. I appreciate the support there. Yeah, I won't split the view now, but that's a good point. Is my internet going okay? Is there a pause every now and again? Because it's saying excellent connection, but hopefully it's all right. I thought it wasn't salvageable, but it's safe now. We're good. We're safe now. We're good. Okay, so let's just get... You see, it doesn't seem to be like this point here. Let's just go to wireframe quickly. Oh, that's because it's really long down there. I can do this in wireframe happily, but obviously most people can't see it because... the cage option. Oh, dear, I'm forgetting what's going on here. Right, G to grab. I feel like I've got too much topology here, but it should be alright. Right, this is where like I say, this gets really awkward. So let's extrude it down here. It should snap okay, and it's doing an alright job. It's a little bit like there, it goes a bit weird, doesn't it? But that's doing alright. Connection's fine, good. Love it. I like big butts and I cannot lie. Yes, indeed. Who doesn't like big butts, eh? I can scale these in the Y0 if I ever want to align them as well. So Alt right click, scale Y0, and that aligns them nicely. It should still keep the snapping. We have got this slight issue where it's going a bit distorted as I go around areas where it's, it's sort of struggling to keep it going and stuff. Hopefully that makes sense though. Probably not the best. I probably ought to just do these two here. So that one and that one. And just extrude those through first. And, up to there, isn't it? And F to fill. Okay, so it's a little bit wibbly wobbly, but we're getting there. Now I can press F there and it fills it, and now we've got a sort of circle going around. No, we haven't, because I've managed, haven't I? So there's an extra, there's an extra point. My topology flow has gone around there to the second one here. Oh no, that's why. Oh, I've been an idiot. Don't fill those. What? I must be tired today, because this is not quite... I have been a bit tired today. That's no excuse, I know. But I've been a bit sort of... Since I was ill, I just haven't quite got my oomph back. And I did loads of exercise yesterday because I was sort of excited that I wasn't ill anymore. Thinking, yeah, let's go for this. And today I'm just really knackered. I've got that sort of achy feeling, everywhere from getting back into exercise. So that's why this topology is going badly. It's nothing to do with my skill level, because my skill level is above reproach. Why has I got an extra bit there? Because that must be joining up there. That's a bit weird, that topology. I don't know what I've done there, but something's wrong. It's going a bit weird here. But we can kind of salvage it here. I mean, it's a bit naughty because I feel like the edge flow isn't quite right there, but it will work. And I think I need to just move on from this. Really, this isn't great topology because you should sort of have an area for the bum. But wait, see what I did there? It's because of baggy trousers and stuff, it shouldn't need that much shape. But if it was muscular shape, then you'd really sort of form the buttocks a bit more and have a bit more of a crease in here and so forth. But I think this should be okay. If I ever needed to, I could do another loop cut down there and then grab these ones across a bit, like so. But I think that's a bit overboard for what we need right now, because the multi-resolution modifier will sort these things out and we can still keep it relatively low poly, all going well. But I do feel like I've done a bit of a bodge job on this, if I'm honest. It wasn't the best. Anyway. We're finally there. So I can do the same thing, Rete Apology down here. So that's sort of really basic, really bad topology, but it's not awful. It's not absolutely awful, but it's not the best. God, I'm looking at it now. It's pretty bad. Anyway, so we need a cylinder coming down here. So let's move on. Should I do? I'll do this as a separate object for now because I want to do the shrink wrap afterwards. So yeah, into object mode, Shift A, and then we've got cylinder. Actually, before we do that, sorry, I was looking at the chat, getting distracted there as well. So we do our our edge loop here, and we count the amount of edges. So we've got 19. Do you know that's not ideal, is it? Because it's an odd number, and any edge split I do is always going to have that odd number, so that's not great. Doesn't matter too much, but I prefer to do things with even numbers, then they can sort of divide easier, especially when we sort of want to pull them all together. Let's say I had to pull them all together to a full edge at the end. We're going to get a triangle because it's an odd number. I'm trying to think about it, but I'm pretty sure that's the case, isn't it? Have I got an n-gon on the one side of the leg? Have I? No. No, I don't think so. There's poles. There's these poles here, 3-sided and 5-sided. That's probably what's gone wrong, because I've only got one pole here, and there was another pole on the front. Probably shouldn't do 2 poles like that. And then there's another one here. It's not great topology. Let's be honest. But there is no n-gon. So if I do a Control R, loop cuts won't go through n-gons. So we can sort of at least see that it's not awful topology because we've got a loop cut going around. So this is just my example of what you can get away with. Don't watch too closely, Raymond. Hopefully you're not watching this bit. Okay, where were we? Adding our cylinder. Okay, so we got 19 verts. So Shift A to add, and where are we? It's a cylinder, isn't it? Cylinder, and then we got 19 on this one, not 18. It's magic number 19. That's what you should always aim for. 18 I think is okay, but 19 definitely the best. Right, I'm being sarcastic, by the way, in case someone was wondering. Why is it 19? Why should we be using 19? Don't use 19. Will you make an eagle in the future? I'm desperate with making one. I've actually done something similar for Atlas Empires. It was the Eagle Temple, and it had sort of eagle type shapes going with it. So you could have a look at that, and that might help you with your eagle. Maybe it's something I'll do in the future. Quite a tough one, actually. Not easy. There's several different ways you could make it. Just looking at yes sir saying, can you do 18 sides for the cylinder, then edge slide one of your meshes, edge slide your mesh to take it from 19 to 18? You could, but then you'll end up with a triangle somewhere. Hopefully that sort of makes sense. Hello Cabongo, I don't know how you spell that, VR. Just a lurker. I'm a programmer, interested in game development. Most of what I know about Blender I learned from you. Good stuff. I literally said good stuff and you said good stuff. I try to like and watch most of your content. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Just having a look at what other people are saying. I made in a giant bird for this project in the future, Raymond. If you still trust me after that topology disaster there. What do you think of making asset packs for game engines? That's quite an interesting one, which I'll... A side hip area, there's an n-gon. I don't believe you. Isn't there an n-gon? Oh yeah, hang on, is that an n-gon? It is. But that's all right, because that's where I was sort of cutting. Thank you very much for noticing that. J to join. No, we haven't got an n-gon. Well done for spotting that n-gon. So yeah, passive income. Let's think about Raymond. Let's talk about that a little bit. Loads of people want to talk about those sort of things, and I can understand, because lots of us, especially watchers of this channel, I imagine, not a disaster, a lesson in recovery, indeed. Oh, and n-gon. So n-gon is. I'll answer that question because there might be a few people asking the same thing. It's a shape that has more than 4 edges to it. Okay, so this polygon here is a quad because it's got 4 sides. Got the video I just released about Topology Flow. I'm sure I keep moving this into place. Oh, I've got snapping on. That's why I keep going back to this, moving it across here, and then oh dear me. I won't show Mark scenes in this video. That'll be a later one. So yeah, the video I just released, that has a link in the description to tries, n-gons and quads, which you might be wanting to have a look at. Right, n-gons make me angry. They make me angry too. Brrr, n-gon. Dreadful stuff, eh? Right, now I've stopped fiddling about. Let's go into edit mode, grab this face here and start putting ourselves into position. So G to grab, E to extrude, and probably need to scale up there, pull it around a bit. E to extrude, and just pulling it down. Seems it's bad having a mesh with other shapes than squares. It can cause problems. So let's say I want to do a loop cut. The loop cuts won't go through n-gons or triangles, so you'll end up not being able to use the loop cut tool for one. You can use n-gons on flat surfaces. So let's say you're doing a hard surface model. Still trying to do the loop cut there. You might want to have an n-gon on a flat surface just to speed things up. Or you're doing some low polygon modeling, like when I'm doing Atlas Empire stuff, I sometimes have the odd n-gon, especially loads of triangles here and there. So you don't have to panic about them, but kind of knowing when to use them and when it's okay to use them is helpful. So I'm just moving this into position for the shrink wrap that's happening later. Watch out for these areas here. So I'll probably need to just move that across a touch. I might need to extrude this up one more. So you probably want a few loop areas across here, and then you probably want it growing a bit there. And we might as well have even topology. It does help to have even topology, to be fair. You shouldn't really have big areas where there's no topology like I did there, because when you come to the multi-resolution modifier, it won't have as much topology in those places. Also, when you're animating, you need those areas. Just seeing what people are saying. Okay, so we were having a slight, there was a question about, what was it? About selling your models and things. So asset packs. I imagine it's an okay income, but it's not, unless they're really sought after assets packs. I think you will find it tough to make a living. I watched a talk about someone who employed people to make asset packs. He took the risk, as it were, of making the money-making risk. So he employed people and then sold their work. So he was sort of almost like an agent in a way. But he said after 5 years he managed to break even. I think it was after 5 years. I may be exaggerating slightly, but I can't remember very well. But it was probably not 5 years. It must have been about 3 years or something. But it was a struggle for them. But maybe at that point they're turning into a profit. But so there is a market there, but it's a very saturated market these days because lots of people want to do it. Because it's nice, it feels like easy money, doesn't it? You don't have to talk to anybody, you just create these asset packs, you make exactly what you want, and then people will buy it. But will they buy it? That's the question. Okay, now we can, now we've got these baggy trousers. Anybody know that Madness song, Baggy Trousers? It's very old British, very sort of British tradition, Madness tradition. I don't know, icon. Interpixel, nice to see you. A polygon could also be a dead parrot. Polygon. Look at that, Mark Knight. That is a dad joke and a half. How old are you, Mark Knight? Are you a dad? I'm just having a look at what people are saying. That's a very thorough answer. Thanks a lot. Oh, cheers, Jen. It's hammer time. Oh, yeah, it could be. It could be hammer time as well. Anybody else know that reference? Surely people know that one. He sort of made a comeback slightly recently, didn't he? Well, I say recently. That was absolutely ages ago now. Show him how old I am. Oh, I've just pressed F. Now, F is a nightmare because it fills in a face sometimes, and that's, where's my... Right, trying to grab that face and pull it out so it doesn't overlap my trousers. Just there. That was a weird Cockney accent that time. Trousers. It's not Cockney, is it? Anyway, what am I talking about? Yep, I will delete the bottom half and the top half. Yes, I'll do that now. Delete. Face. And the bottom half as well. Delete. Face. And eventually I'll sort of tuck... In fact, I suppose I'll do a bit of that now. Edge loop around here. Scale it down. Oh, actually, I've got to be a bit careful for the shrink wrap. I'll move it in the Y. That's not... I'm not worried too much about this, but I suppose I might need a bit more topology around here. So it sort of comes in. But I'll wrap those in. Because this is very rough sculpt for the now. So it's just very rough trousers. There we go. So now I can select this one and, the other way around, this one and this one. Not that it matters too much, but this one, can you see the pivot point is in the center, well, the center of the object here, which ain't so good. Whereas this one, the center point is right in the middle, because that's when I Rete Apologize, I was thinking about the middle point. So that's a good point to have that one as the active object. So when do I select it? I select it last. When you select an object last, when you're selecting with Shift, the last one you select, that is the active object. Lack of meat makes one forget, is that right? Actually, there's been studies that cognitive ability improves with a vegan diet. Aha! How about that? Although I've been so ill, haven't I, that one would argue that it can't be healthy. I'm not a very good ambassador for the vegan living, really, am I? Anyway, there we go, trousers. And immediately they did the shrink wrap, because it's on that, my original model, there was a mirror on there and a shrink wrap, so it mirrored across the other side, and look, we've got some trousers. All that's left to do into edit mode, after this long-winded approach, control, and there's a bit of overlapping there, so I've got to watch out for that. Let's just move these ones down. I'll use edge slide, GG to edge slide, because I don't think I've got my snapping turned on. That all looks okay. It's going to be interesting how it links up. It looks alright, but I mean, there possibly is a bit of work to do, isn't there? Let's turn snapping back on, and I just want to see how this is going to link up. So start grabbing them. Whoa! Oh, that's because I've got the wrong side. Because actually it's this side I've got. So what is it? Hang on, it should be the mirror that does that. Yeah, so it's this side I should be working on when I was trying to grab this one over here, and it's actually that one over there that I've grabbed. That's why sometimes your mirror looks like it's doing some weird stuff. I'm just, like I say, moving these into position to make sure I know exactly where they're going to join and things. Because you never know your thingamajiggy. Yeah, you see, they don't seem to be lining up because, yeah. So I've got a few issues that I need to sort out. Can you see I need to sort of line these things up? Whoa. It's not easy. I'll do an edge slide, GG, and edge slide. That didn't seem to edge slide though. And move that one across, so I know exactly where they're linking up. This is not ideal because you can see there's more topology down the middle there. So what you can end up doing, in fact I'll line them up first so you can see what's going on. But there's a gap in this one here. Wow, are we sure that was 19? Let's grab that again. Did I count those right? Yeah, 19 edges. 19 edges. Let's just Control E and see what happens. Bridge edge loops. Oh, it's alright, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not great, but we do need to even some of them out. Now, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. But you can go to Vertex and go to Smooth Vertices. Didn't do such a bad job, did it? Look at that. Smooth Vertices. That's a really useful tool, so I'll do that again. So Vertex and then Smooth Verts. It's like a smooth brush or something like that. So that's pretty useful. So if I do it again, it will actually do a little bit more because you've got a strength thing down here. And that's helpful. I might just scale that up just a touch. It's still got the shrink wrap on, but that might help it to sit outside the mesh. Now, like I say, not amazing topology, and you can see there's sort of issues in here. We probably will need a bit more of a package there. So let's grab this edge loop and just GG, pull it down there and do a loop cut. You see, that's where did I want my loop cut there, really? No, I'm going to GG and pull this one down, GG. And do another one up here. Oh no, I can't do that, can I? I have to turn snapping off. I thought GG got rid of snapping, but obviously not. There we go. Pull this one down as well, GG. I'll need to grab this, GG. Oh, keep grabbing that side for some reason. Why is that? And then loop cut in there. And then we've got slightly better topology and we can start sort of doing creases and things in there. We probably do need to even it out a bit. So one in there, one in there. We don't necessarily need to keep those edge loops. If you want to suddenly make it low poly, later on you can sort of duplicate the mesh and all sorts, and to get rid of some of your topology if you need to. But we probably don't need to worry, and an even mesh is helpful when it comes to the multi-resolution modifier, which we'll have a little bit later on. So there we've got my trousers ish. I suppose we probably want one more edge loop here, so I'll select this edge loop. Let's look at the reference image. We probably don't actually, because the belt's going to go pretty high up here. Let's just come out a little bit. I feel like I want one more. Just make sure snapping's off, E to extrude, and pull it upwards to there. I mean, it's not great at the moment, but it'll be fine. Okay, a few questions. I'm using OBS to stream, that's right, into Pixels. I think there's a few questions up here as well. I want to bring you to the dark side, Grant Abbitt. I'm wondering why. Oh, is that in terms of meat eating? Is that? It's only a few months ago that I became a vegan, so I've gone from dark side, if you can call it that. It's probably unfair to call it that, really, isn't it? Thanks for the stream. Got to run. Nice to see you, Jan. You might not see that, but you may have gone already. 9 out of 10 statisticians can get you whatever result matches your bias. Quite right. Well, 9 out of 10, I think that's an interesting one. But we do see that from the meat industry quite often. If you look at their research, that's interesting. Oh, vegan stuff going on here, I tell you. Is there a reason to use a cylinder? Actually, I should say the vegan. There are meat studies from the meat industry, sponsored by the meat industry, but there are also studies into health sponsored by the vegan industry as well. So they're from both sides. So you can imagine there's going to be some bias in either direction from those people. So it's best not to look at those studies, I think. Sometimes you can't avoid them, though. Is there a reason to use a cylinder for the topology on the legs instead of extruding from your existing topology? It should have been faster, thinking about it. It did seem quite a slow process, though, but it should be a bit faster to do it like that, because it's quite hard to, let's say, I've got a cylinder somewhere. Well, let's say I'm extruding down here, or let's say I grab that whole edge loop and then I try and extrude. Then I have to sort of have snapping turned off, then turned on again, and then extrude again, and try and snap all the points in. It is a longer process. This is the way I prefer to do it anyway. Looking at it, there probably needs to be one more loop cut around there, because we probably do one more loop cut around the knees, possibly. No, I think we're okay. Just having a look at some other questions. What was that? Hang on. You castrated the poor boy. Did I? By accident. How do you create the moving text at the bottom of the stream? Is it a feature in OBS? Yes, it is a feature in OBS. Do all points snap if you're using proportional edit at the same time? Don't know. Proportional edit, grab. Yes, they do. Look, they're all snapping. I think. Actually, I think that might be the shrink wrap. Don't know. That's a good question. Let's turn off the shrink wrap then. Grab that. Is it snapping? No, they don't. So their snapping is turned off when you're proportional edit. There you go. That's it. Hopefully that answers your question. How often do I stream? I'm trying to do it at least once a week, but this week I ended up doing it about 3 times, I think. So yeah, it's on and off, but I'm trying to have Friday as a streaming time between either 4 and 6, or maybe a little bit later in the afternoon. And how do you create the movie? Oh, so we've had that. There we go. There is nothing healthy about being vegan. Humans need animal protein. There are lots of people who will argue with you on that one. I can understand you having that point of view, though, because it's sort of in our society, in most of our society. Yes, indeed, Frank. It's been a very sort of cultural thing, and giving up meat for a lot of people is quite a tough one. I didn't find it too bad. It may be that I need. Yes, indeed, I am spoiling you, aren't I, Hussam? Then maybe I need to eat some meat, maybe once a month or something, to get something. Who knows? Who knows? Grant the Diplomat. Always want to listen to people and hear their arguments. Definitely. A panda is a vegan bear. Your argument is questionable at best. There you go. This is all coming out now. Oh, it's all the arguments are coming out. It's good to share your opinion, but your argument is questionable at best. That can become confrontational, I think. So a panda is a vegan bear. Leave it at that, and then it doesn't become confrontational. That's how I see it anyway. The client needs modelling done. Love watching. Yes, thank you very much, Oracle Media. Anyway, where were we? What is the time actually? 8 o'clock. So I probably won't go on too much further. What I did want to do a little bit of is talk about the multi-resolution modifier. So we'll do that. I will hide the original mesh. In fact, Trousers 2 retopo. There we go. I have labelled. That's good. Good news, isn't it? And should we shade smooth that? Let's do that. And there we go. Trousers. They look really blocky trousers. Probably need the offset for the shrink wrap to come down a touch now. Oh, I've got the shrink wrap hidden. That doesn't help much. So around there. They look very bulky, don't they? Maybe I can go offset and bring them in a bit. Less, I think probably a little bit more like that, and I can flesh them out a bit later. And I think at this point, yes, in fact, I know at this point, I need to apply the mirror, because you can't have a multi-resolution modifier with a mirror modifier. Try not to go on the whole vegan meat eating thing. Let's not cause an argument. It's a really tough one because I'm not even going to go there. From my research, I've found that you can get the right amount of proteins on a vegan diet. It can be a little bit more complicated though. Whereas meat, you just eat some meat, don't you? And you can get because it's got all the complex proteins. But you have to be a bit more discerning on a vegan diet. So a junk food vegan diet is just as bad as a junk food meat eater's diet. Anyway, shrink wrap. Let's apply the mirror because that doesn't work, like I say, in multi-resolution modifier. Neither will the shrink wrap, so apply that. And there we go. We've got our model. And I don't have to worry too much about destructive modelling there because I can't get these back. Oh no, because I've applied them. So I could just scale it out by the normals and reapply a shrink wrap if I needed to at some point. Soy causes cancer. Actually, soy is supposed to be, according to research, but it might be done by the Soy Institute or something, it's actually supposed to be helpful for people who've got cancer. A vegan diet is supposed to be one of the best diets you can have if you're trying to fight off cancer, according to the majority of research. Try not to kill me if I said that. Try not to kill me. The Dr. Gregor is a really good one because his YouTube channel, really good stuff because, good to see you, Hussam Masilla. He talks about a plant-based diet, but he really looks at the research in detail and his catchphrases, put it to the test, and he looks at the research, metadata as well as, metadata being lots of research combined, so the metadata, as well as sort of the detailed data and any biases that might be there as well. And his arguments are for a whole food plant-based diet. But I don't want to say there's not other people going the other way who would use the research as well. Anyway, moving on. What was I doing? Multi-resolution modifier. Add modifier. Multi-resolution modifier. So there we go. So I've added the multi-resolution modifier and it's not doing anything. You can see it looks the same at the moment as it does from my original. Which is very nice, may I add. But when I press subdivide, you can see that it has subdivided the mesh. And if I go to wireframe mode now, we can see it subdivide and subdivide again. So it's doing the same thing that a subdivision surface does, but I can sculpt on it. And eventually I can, excuse me, my vegan diet's coming up again. Eventually I can take the information from this high res and put it onto the low res in the form of a normal map, in the form of things like cavity maps as well. So Yeah. Vegan diets should be cheaper, but we in my household, me and my wife basically, we go for organic vegan because there are issues with pesticides as well. It was the Game Changers documentary about the vegan diet that changed it for me, because I've said this before, even on the stream actually, but I used to get injured all the time playing football and lots of sports, and it was beyond a joke. It was like almost every 2 weeks at times, or I'd have a long period where I wasn't playing. It was really upsetting. I was almost in I was in tears at times because I was injured yet again, and I absolutely love playing sport. Since doing the vegan diet, I haven't been injured, and I think that's to do with inflammation. Now, maybe that's just me, and my body chemistry doesn't react well to fats and meats. Going off on one at the moment, but I think it's an important point in this argument. No, it isn't. But anyway, I haven't been injured since I've done the vegan diet, and that's been a good few months now, and that is unheard of. Even my football mates are all saying, what the heck's going on? And they're really surprised. Also, my football ability has increased, so I can run further. Not necessarily faster, but I can train more, so that could be a reason, because I'm not getting injured as much. Anyway, on to the sculpting. So we've got this area now that we can start sculpting. So let's go to sculpt mode and stop talking about veganism, Grant. You've got to stop talking about veganism. I think that's going to be important, isn't it? So draw brush, F to resize, and then we can start, let's say, cutting in here, for example, and maybe just doing a few sort of general sort of bits and pieces around the place. Actually, I need to smooth that out, so I'll smooth that out a bit. And at any point, I think, it's looking a bit blocky, which it isn't. It's all right, actually. But I can take my multi-resolution modifier and I can subdivide again. And there's this preview and render quality. They've lost the sculpt quality. I'm not sure what's going on there. But you can sort of lower these and preview and render and quality. Because you used to be able to lower them, but it seems like you can't in sculpt mode now. Quality, I think, is to do with subdivision surface modifier, so I'll leave that at 3. Maybe that's what they're working on, but I heard there was issues with this, but it seems to be doing fine for me, and we are able to sculpt with it. Probably needs a bit of work on the sculpt anyway, and smooth out and so forth. So it's a good little tool, that. I ought to look at my reference images now, because baggy trousers I'm not used to doing. So let's have a look at some baggy trousers. So I'll show you my reference images. There, I'm focusing on these trousers just here. So you can see that on the screen. There we go. Okay, so let's start with the front. Now, these baggy trousers go in at the waist. How do these ones cope? They will go in at the waist, really, won't they? Because this belt will be pulling them in. So I'll pull this in slightly. So I'll just draw around here. You have to be a bit careful of your edge. Can you see my edge there? Because, do you see what I did there? Let's Alt a middle click to zoom in on an area. Why is that not working now? Alt middle click. It worked then. Sometimes just does that, doesn't it? Blender does this to me. Just having a look and making sure everybody's past the vegan thing now. That's great. We were almost past it, and then Corey has brought it up again. G for grab brush, F to resize, and I might have to move these up a little bit in here. And I can just move this in. Cool, we're looking good. So it's sort of going to be pulled in by this belt, isn't it? But they are baggy trousers, sort of fisherman trousers. They're not looking too bad as they are at the moment, but we need a bit more, I think. I mean, it's tricky to say with because the creases all go differently on my different reference images, but I think we can get a bit closer to my references. Now there's going to be quite a few creases down here, so I'm just using the draw brush to sort of do some creases. I mean, I could obviously use the crease brush as well. Actually, the crease brush is better. Why am I not using the crease brush? Around here a bit, but actually I'm going to use the inflate brush because this bagginess in here needs to sort of come close together. And can you see the inflate brush sort of overlaps itself at times? So you just have to watch out for that, but I'm just sort of inflating these areas a little bit. that sort of bagginess in the middle there. There we go. I hope I haven't offended anybody with my vegan ranting. I hope I haven't annoyed people. Don't like annoying people. There's people, I tried not to annoy people, but obviously when I go out to eat, can you imagine how awkward that is? A whole food, plant-based vegan diet, and they say, what are you talking about? And then you just end up not going out, hence why I'm here doing live streaming. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Right, so a few creases here and there. Why is that not creasing? Oh, that went weird. Oh, it just went a bit weird, that's all. I feel like there's some doubles there, isn't there? Look, got to be some doubles. So back into edit mode and see what's going on there. Not a lot of topology around that area, actually. That probably is causing an issue. So the cool thing about the multi-resolution modifier, I don't know whether it's, I better start saving here, aren't I? Save as, because I don't know what they've changed in 2.8, but you should be able to Control R, add a bit of topology in there, and it's just added that topology in. I mean, there's a bit of smoothing out to be done, but look at that. And it's got that extra bit of topology, so therefore extra faces for me to sculpt on. How cool is that? It's cool, that's what it is. It's cool. I can use the reverse crease brush, which is Control and click. I feel like there's some issues here though. I feel like there is something wrong. Look at that. That doesn't look right. So I feel like it hasn't joined in the center. I'm going to select all, A, Alt M, and just by distance. No, I think it maybe it's just having a bit of a glitch. A bit of a glitchy time there. It's not looking great down there, is it? Let's try a bit more. Oh, it's working now. So it was just a glitch, I think. There we go. Not doing the best creases actually, am I? Roughly up here as well, something like that. I mean, it doesn't do well with mirrored creasing when you're trying to do this sort of area, so I probably need to turn mirror off. How's it going? No @grants, so I'm not getting many questions. I think hard surface modelling is better than sculpting for clothing. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. Those pants are looking like he's crapped himself. Oh dear, has he? Maybe he has. They do look a bit symmetrical. It's not. It's to be fair, that is not looking great. So I do need to. Yeah, it needs a bit of work. That doesn't it? It needs a bit of work. My apologies. Okay, let's subdivide one more level. I think I need to. You might just get a few anomalies here and there. And yeah, just trying to get this working. I mean, they look a bit uniform at the moment, don't they? But, well, it's sort of working. There we go. From this sort of distance, that's not too bad. Not too bad, anyway. Let's try and get some creases around the knees. Oh, I should say, actually, my crease brush. Let's have a look at my crease brush, because I've turned the pinch up quite a lot, and it gives it that sort of blocky look, I suppose. You're making it worse. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Sometimes he says, good stuff. I say good stuff quite often, don't I? And my pupils notice it as well, and they start saying, good stuff like this, and take the mick out of me. How very dare they? How could they? I mean, it's just mean, isn't it? Just mean. No, it's good to laugh at yourself, isn't it? But it's not good for your students to laugh at you. Those little creatures. Anyway, let's smooth that out a bit. Cool, I was probably wobbling the camera a bit there. Okay, how are we looking? A little bit weird there. I'm just sort of experimenting a little bit here, trying to get them the same. It's not easy, actually. Creases are not easy. Clothing is tough. I know that, and I've tried it before. It's not looking too bad though, is it? It's sort of getting there. Some trousers, t-shirt, after like an hour and 40 minutes, so a bit of a long one today. Cool beans, do I say that as well? I do say cool beans, yep. Your pupils, what have your eyes got to do with it? I'm not sure what you mean there. You can't laugh at other people if you can't laugh at yourself. I like it, Interpixel. I like it. Everything he's saying is British, isn't it? Yes, it is. Will you do cut? Will you do cut off your live streams? I'm interested in shoes section right now. Not sure what you mean actually. So try and explain that again, please. Marriott's, I think. British. Very British. Have you seen that new cloth brush? We should try the sculpting brush. I should download 2.8 and we should have a go at that, shouldn't I? Definitely, that's a good idea. Pupils, yes, sorry, I see pupils equals students. We call them pupils sometimes in Britain. Alright, so at Grant, how would I know what modifiers to apply before multi-res sculpting, armatures, solidify? You don't need any of those modifiers before. Oh, sorry, to apply before no. Again, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. He's asking if you'll divide your stream into bits for future videos. I just post these up as they are. Maybe I should be dividing them into bits. I mean, today's sculpt was a bit about, so I'll probably relabel it something like using the multi-resolution modifier for clothing. And then, so next time we'll be doing the boot. I was thinking, have I got enough time to do the boot? I probably haven't. I'm a little bit tired, if I'm honest. I do want to do a few more weights actually tonight, so I've got to keep some energy for that as well. Pupils, because they're the apple of his eye. Interesting. I'm still a bit lost with the multi-resolution modifier. Don't know if I missed your explanation. I did do an explanation, but thank you, Jay. That's really really appreciated. Indubitably, old chap. So anybody else struggling with the multi-resolution modifier? So I'll try and explain it once more, just sort of go over these things again, because that's been the focus of today's session, I think. So if we look in edit mode, there's my original mesh, okay, that I used the Rete Apology for. And Jay, nice work. But the multi-resolution modifier, so I can't remove it, but if I duplicate this, I'll duplicate this. So I'll go to layout mode, Shift D to duplicate and move it across there, and I'm going to remove the multi-resolution modifier. So that's what it looks like originally. Let's say I add a subdivision surface modifier, okay? So it's pretty much the same as the multi-resolution modifier, and I can put it up, and we've got this, and if I press Z now, and go to wireframe mode, they should have sort of similar topology. I might have just gone up, in the viewport, there we go. So there's similar topology, yep. So that's the same, but the multi-resolution modifier, I can sculpt on it. Whereas if I go into sculpt mode with this now, let's go back to solid mode and try sculpting. Oh, it is actually working, actually. It's not too bad. But what the multi-resolution modifier, I think that might be new, actually, that I can sculpt on this resolution. Oh, that is new. Wow, that's pretty cool. Is it working? I think it is, you know. No, it isn't. It isn't really. No, it's not. It's sort of half working, and not bad to be honest. But it's just sculpting that original mesh into this, and then adding the adding the subdivision. So I can't sculpt like I can on the multi-res. The multi-res, I'm sculpting on that high resolution, but it's still got the information of the original. It's difficult to get your head around, but so that's the subdivision surface modifier. Also, what I can do with the multi-resolution modifier here, I'm just going to delete this one so it doesn't cause any issues. Delete, and let's go back to sculpting mode here. I can take this high poly information that I've got now and turn it into a normal map. So if you don't know about normal maps, and look up PBR and look at the normal maps and what they do, they add sort of bump to it. So I can take this low poly mesh here, add the information from the high poly mesh, but as a bump map, so it doesn't take up all the poly counts, or render much faster. And you can do use these sort of techniques in games, and this is how they actually make game models, just like this, with exactly the same topology skills that I've got. That topology looks so bad, doesn't it? Oh dear me, it's depressing. Depress myself sometimes with my abilities. It should go up here and down here in a much better way, so I'm very disappointed in myself. Should be ashamed of myself. Anyway, how many years have I taught for? About 10 years, and actually not games design. So games design has only been the last sort of 5 or so years, and I've only been really working hard in Blender for the last 5 years, I suppose, really going for it. And that's even been part-time because I've been teaching for a lot of that. Yeah. Thanks, Max. Was that explanation good enough for you? Hopefully it was. Coody? Could you record this video? I miss beginner, unfortunately, and I want to make a character animation for mobile game. Yep. If you just look at my stream, thank you very much, Max. Get yourself a chocolate to feel better. I appreciate that. What I'll have to get is a piece of fruit, because whole food vegan, we're not allowed chocolate. Let's not go there again. I really appreciate it though. Thank you very much again, Max Racket. Really appreciated. So what I was saying, yes, you can get this stream. It's I put a playlist together called Gabbitt Live, and it's on my channel under the playlist section, and it will have this in there. Maybe I should do a separate one for the character modeling. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? I do remember, I think, 2.4 is it, where they had, I can't remember which version it was, where they had the menus across the bottom. That's when I first opened Blender, and I thought, what is this strange program? But yeah, stuck with it, sort of. Who made the reference images? That is Raymond, who I think is still on the chat. He might still be with us anyway. Or did he have to go? I can't remember. But he's made this, and he is the client. So Raymond drew this character for his 2D game. Oh, it's got a weird unwrap mesh there. And yeah, he's done a really cool job there. And he's given me some reference images as well to work by. Anyway, I think I better leave it there because I am tired from my pathetic vegan diet. But if you have any questions about veganism, ask someone else. There you are, still there. There is Raymond. Yeah, I don't mind chatting for a bit. I'll put my glove off and leave it there. I better save my work though, hadn't I, before I forget. But yeah, I'm glad I did the stream today because it sort of picked me up. I was thinking of having a sleep before, but didn't quite get a sleep in. Let's save just there. So this is what we got so far. We're sort of moving on very steadily, but hopefully it's helping people with answering all these questions as well, and that's the fun of it, really, isn't it? Are you going to put seams along the pants? Yes, I will do. And generally it'll be pretty much the same seams that you'll see on trousers, because remember, trousers are taken from a flat piece of cloth. So the seams that you use in clothing will be the same seams that you will see in actual clothes, generally speaking. Thanks. Yeah, vegan. It's been very nice. Any other questions before I go? I'll spend the last few minutes doing some questions, I think. Should you seam your model on the low poly side? Thank you very much, Ed Henelin. That's really appreciated once again. It's really great. I had a lot of support today, and I really appreciate it. Where were we? Should you seam your model on the low poly side before you multi-res? No, you can do it afterwards. Before you can adapt your low poly shape, and it will improve. It will add those adaptions to the multi-res. That's the great thing about the multi-resolution modifier. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, is it okay to rig a character that has a multi-res separate objects? Not quite sure what you mean, but it's tough to rig I think I've done it in the past, but I've tried to rig a character that has the multi-res on it, and it really lags loads when you're trying to move it around and do anything with it. So Maybe it's something that will work in the future, but I don't think we're quite there yet with it. So yes, sponsored by all these people that have donated. They've been absolutely wonderful once again. So yeah, yes. So thank you, Corey S, for reminding me about who those people were. So we've had Max Riquette, Chance McDonald, Raymond, and of course who's supplied all the model and everything. Jay Yesmin and Ed Henelin and Shane Pelcher. Much appreciated to you all. So if you use a crease brush on a multi-res and it goes below the base mesh, will it bake properly? Yes, that's the amazing thing about the multi-res. It seems to know where the mesh is. Yeah, that's a good question actually, but it does. Yeah, you can bake from a multi-res and it doesn't do the same sort of baking process, I don't think, anyway. Don't quote me on that though. I'm thinking of rigging a high-res model. Is it okay for a still, but for... Sorry, I think rigging a high-res model is okay for a still, but for animation, it needs to be low-poly rig. Yes, indeed, that's right, Mark Knight, yeah. Sorry, I read that completely wrong. I'm getting a bit more tired, and that's where my dyslexia really sort of shows. I think I missed one from the beginning. Oh, sorry, yes. Sorry if there was another person who donated. I do wish it would show up somewhere and keep a record, and then I could thank those people. But I really do appreciate it from everybody. Yeah, nice one. Jay, thank you very much. I forget that you have many nationalities watching your videos. It's 4 o'clock for some people. Yeah, so thanks for those who stayed up and watched. That's really cool of you to support me like that. Anyway, I think any brushes you'd recommend. I sort of create all my brushes on here really, but sculpting brushes, there's a great set on Blend Swap. They're sort of, yeah, they're really cool basically. But the sculpting brushes are improving all the time, so look at 2.83 and see what's going on there. Yeah, you're quite right, Mark. I need to go to bed. Well, I need to go and have some fruit. Thanks ever so much again for those that support me, and thank you all for watching. Any questions, make sure you put them in the comments. I'm trying to get back to everybody, but I'm struggling because I think my channel's growing and growing, and there's just loads and loads of comments, so I'll get there. All brushes, that's the one, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm getting there. Anyway, yes, so thank you once again, and happy blending, and I will see you next time.